Hey there, welcome back to the fourth table. I fully confess I have a blessed life. I have 4 gaming tables, and we are literally on the fourth one right now for this. Stars of Acarios being on my first table, ISS Vanguard on the second. I'm hosting multiplayer gaming tonight, and so City of Big Shoulders is on the third, and then this is now on my fourth. So this is going to be a very quick video to introduce the game. I will have another video where we'll go through setup, and then of course after that we will play. So if you're here to watch a playthrough, you're at the right place. I just don't have time tonight to get that started. But you can see I got the rule book in front of me. It's a very procedural game, so there's some good news there. Dean Brown is the designer of this particular game. It's part of the Leader series of games. He has a ability to make some of the more complicated Leader games for sure. And this is definitely right up there, along with B-17 Leader. And I know Chuck, he made Zero Leader, and he's making some of the other ones like Stuka. He's been, DVG and those guys have been cranking out some awesome Leader games lately, and I think this one is shaping up to be awesome as well. So I got everything out, and we'll go through the components in the campaign and setup, but basically there's a lot to punch. I do have the base game, plus I have all 3 expansions. I have the Allies expansion, and the Carrier expansion, and the Submarine expansion. So as it stands right now, the Carrier expansion components are here. The Submarine expansion components are here. It's sort of a hodgepodge on this table, but and you can see I haven't even punched some of the pieces, but that's where I'm at this stage. But let me just state at a high level. Spruance Leader, or Spruance, I don't know the right pronunciation. I will screw it up. It's a task force based game where we're going to be ships going on missions to, during the Cold War era. So this is all Hunt for Red October level stuff, or if you've ever played, Red Storm Rising. I really love that game on the computer. So there's a lot of that going on. And you can see here, this is basically most of the missions are going to be done on this board. And you're going to have your task force here, and then this represents the enemies in relation to you. And you have a screening force, you have your main force, and then you have like the ships that you're protecting. So, like I said, it's a very procedural game. I mean, you just go through these steps over and over again until, you finish a particular round, mission, or etc. There are tons and tons of ships in the game. These are just allied ships that you can bring with you. And then I have, these are the American Pacific side ships. And then we have American Atlantic side ships. And then there's helicopters for your ships. There's a lot going on. So I do everything out though, and I actually have any of the cards that need to be shuffled, I sleeved. So we're good to go there. We are going to play with the sensor performance variant. These are optional. These are not part of the basic rules, but they are awesome, and we're going to play with it. There are 3 expansions, as I mentioned. The Allies expansion is just extra stuff. So let's get that one out of the way. It's already mixed in. You just take the extra stuff and you mix it into your currently existing components. Most of the Allies expansion is in here. So that's the reason why this deck is so large. The Allies expansion, for example, gave us Spanish ships that we can bring with us on missions. I think the base game doesn't have Spanish ships. I could be wrong. The base game is actually at the bottom. And then these ones, it's sort of, the ones that are up on top here are the expansion ones. And then these are the ones that came with the base game. So the base game does come with allied ships. So if you're wondering, like, do I get any allied ships at all? You absolutely do. It's just that the allied expansion gives you a whole bunch more. So, get that out of the way. The Allied ship expansion also comes with extra helicopters, but that's more or less it. I mean, there's not that much extra in that expansion, and in fact, I didn't punch the pieces, so you can see everything that comes with it. These are the nations that are in the Allied expansion. I always struggle with some of the British ones, like this one's the Canberra. I think that would be Australia symbol, or the NZAC, or whatever the World War II denotion was. But like, for example, I don't know the difference between that and this Trafalgar one. But again, a lot of you know this stuff better than I do, but this is what comes with the expansion. And then some of these do have their own munitions, and so you can see there's munitions that we could punch. Like, I don't know if the Bofors exists in the base game. I'd have to go check. But it looks like there's different types of torpedoes in this one. And then there's two of them. So you can see over here, these are the helicopters that go with these ships, because some of these ships can launch helicopters. So it came with some helicopters as well. And yeah, these are the two pieces of, these are the two punch boards that come with the Allies expansion. If you're thinking about, okay, do I want to buy the Allies expansion or not? It's really just a matter of, do you want more or not? I think, you know, if you look at the Allied or the US deck, this is for Pacific Theater. You have this many ships for the Pacific Theater just with the US alone, and the number of SO points you're going to get is only going to let you buy maybe at most 9 or 10 of these. So there's a lot of ships in here you're not going to use on a particular game. I think DVG gave you plenty, but obviously now they give you plenty more. And not everybody wants to be the United States. The United Kingdom for sure comes with the base game, if you're wondering about that. Because there's a mission actually for the Falkland War where you have to play as the United Kingdom in that particular one. Okay, there's two other expansions. There is a submarine expansion. Now, here's the thing to bear in mind. It looks awesome. But when you do the submarine expansion, you are only going to play as the submarine, and you don't do the task force. So all of these ships that you see here are out. You're going to pick a submarine from this list. So it's still a very large list of ships, right? You're going to play as a submarine, and you're going to go on missions that are specific to stealth and being in a submarine. And the particular pieces for that, it comes with its own rule book. And it also comes with its own little overlay here. So you can see that the submarine is going to replace your task force. Because like I said, it's only going to be the submarine now. It's not going to be, you don't have a task force anymore. It's just going to be your submarines going on a mission. And it looks like you get to have at least more than one, but that's the idea. So you're going to replace your task force. So all these ships we just finished talking about, they would be gone. You're only going to have your submarines, and that's it. And then there's a whole set of missions that are just specific to submarines. And then when you have your submarines, for example, you can have the Los Angeles class. You have sort of like your own little player board that contains everything that you know. So it's a very, what's the right word? It's myopic to the submarine. So you're managing an entire task force to, you get a lot more minutia and detail around your submarines. And so it's almost like a completely different game. So there is no way to integrate this with the base game from the point of view of, I want to play with submarines and a task force. The answer is no. And now there are submarines in the base game, but not for your side. It's for the enemy side. But if you want to play as a submarine, you got to get the submarine expansion. And like I'm showing you here, they have a lot of extra detail. And you can see that there's the improved LA class. And then, of course, the Permit and Sturgeon class are available as well. And then I haven't punched these yet either. And you can see there's some munitions for them. And then the different submarines. And there's even some extra enemies involved. And like I said, it has its own rule book. That's, I mean, it's basically a whole new game. Okay, so that is the submarine thing. So biggest takeaway, just understand that you can't mix the components, at least not from the point of view that the submarines can just become a part of your task force. That is not the case. So you're either playing with a task force like this, or you're playing with a submarine, you know, if I can use the term wolf pack. It's either or. Okay, then the last one is the carriers. So as you can see, the carriers have its own rule book as well. And it also has its a special sheet for doing strikes. Here's the good news. The carriers do mix in with the rest of your task force. Of course they will, because the carrier needs to be protected. So it's going to be part of the protected force. The carrier would be in one of these slots back here. And then you would have your main force and your screening force, you know, to protect the carrier. Now, the only caveat to that is that the missions that come with the base game don't work. It comes with its own set of missions, and you can see that there's underneath here, for example, there's a Mediterranean Black Sea mission. Because the carriers have extra rules, you need extra SO points, which if you've never played a leader game, SO points is basically your money, your purchasing power. You have to play the carrier missions to use the carriers in the game. The good news, though, is that when the carriers are in the game, you are fully integrated, and you're going to be bringing in task force ships from the base game as well. So I hope that helps with breaking down the different expansions. Like, if you're thinking that, hey, I can buy an expansion and it's just going to mix in with all the other components, the answer is no. The carrier can sort of mix in, but not fully, and you have to use special missions for it. Otherwise, the base game has quite a few missions, in fact, and then it's just meant to be for the task force. No carriers, no subs. And there's also a linked campaign where you're taking 3 campaigns. Now, I keep using the word mission, and it's going to get me in trouble, because this is considered a campaign, and within the campaign, each of these targets is a mission. And I'm calling this thing a mission because this is a linked campaign, and then this is, you know, a mission within the campaign. I'm sort of leading you astray there. So this is a campaign within the linked campaign. So this by itself is a full campaign game. That's another full campaign game, and that's another one. And what Dean did is he made a linked campaign where you're doing all 3 in a row. And chronologically, they're at different years within the 1980s, so you can, you know, follow along, and it sort of simulates, you know, going through a whole decade of war. I think this is super cool, and obviously you know where my mind is going. I want to go here and do this. But the missions are great. I love the new look of the sheets. If you've played any leader game, a lot of this is going to look familiar to you. The only thing to point out is that Dean's style, which I like, is that you get SO points at the start of the campaign to do your initial purchases, but between every mission, or in like some leader games, it's week by week, but in this is not necessarily done in weeks. You earn SO points every mission, so you have like an income. Some games you get SO points and you have the whole campaign to, you know, you don't get a single SO point for the rest of the campaign. That's not the case here. You start with a certain amount, and then you get a certain amount between each mission. But the drawback, though, is you have to pay for all your munitions. There's a lot of stuff you have to pay for. So there's a lot of examples. Some of them, like for example, you have to use Atlantic theater ships, and then here you can see there's one for the Pacific, and a lot more on the Atlantic side, as you can see. In fact, there's only been one Pacific so far. All these are Atlantic. Here's another one that's Pacific, the Indonesian area. The Destroy the Kirov is a special type of mission, similar to like if you played I think it was Hornet Leader or even Corsair Leader. I think there was one where you can go after like a power plant or whatever. I mean, this is very similar. You're going after an enemy carrier, I believe. And then here's another Pacific, so that's a third one. This is technically a Pacific-ish mission, this special one. So technically that's a fourth one. And then you got the Falkland War, which you must use UK ships for. And remember, this came with the base game, so you don't need the Allies expansion. There's enough UK ships for you to work with. But if you get the Allied expansion, you get a whole bunch more. So that's that with that. What are we going to do? I don't know. The carrier missions do not have a linked campaign like what you saw here. So that saddens me. I like the idea of the linked campaign. It's just that I'm already doing a playthrough for ISS Vanguard and other games, and my goodness, a linked campaign is going to take me hours and hours. But that's what I want to do. I haven't made up my mind yet. Let's just put it that way. I'm still mulling it over. Dean was telling me that the submarine is a lot of fun, and I don't disagree with him at all. But if I do the submarine, I'm not doing this, so it's an either-or situation. At least with the carrier, I can merge the two. But it could be a lot for a first game, and I did speak with Dean, and he said that he doesn't recommend it. And he's been doing his own videos of this game, and he excluded that as well. So I might follow him on that. I don't know. I did watch Dean's video that he made. He rushed through some spots that I know some of you will not want to have rushed through. And he explained why he did. He wanted to just give people a sense of how the game plays. He wasn't trying to teach you how to play. So I'm going to try to at least explain why we're doing what we're doing and what the decision making is. And then another thing I know for sure that happened in his videos, and again, he explained why he was doing it. So this little star is where your fleet starts. And then let's say you're doing a target here and you're doing this mission right here. Well, there's some random encounters you could run into on your way to the mission. And basically all I'm trying to say is that like one of these random encounters occurred, and then he skipped the whole random encounter because he just wanted to show how the primary target mechanics worked. Well, some of you might be thinking, well, how do you handle the we'll make sure we do all that. So and he's definitely aware. He cut those things, and he explained why in his video. So it's not like it's a surprise, but I always want to try to add value. Because if he made a video, why am I making one, right? That's sort of the idea. So yeah, everything is punched, at least for the base game. I have a lot of sorting to do. As you can tell, I mixed everything together, which probably was not a smart thing. And then we got to do setup and play. Tonight is my multiplayer night, so I need to get back to that. And I will not be able to start this game tonight, even though I'm ready. So at best, it'll be tomorrow, which would be, what, November 10th? November 10th, 2022, I will start recording for this. And I do have some family things going on, so this is not the best week, but I'll see what I can do. Now, for those of you that were watching ISS Vanguard, I still have that set up. I still want to play it. I just want to play this too. I have a wonderful first world problem of I have two beautiful games that I want to play. So I will try to balance the two, and we'll figure out where to go from there. Anyways, as always, thank you for watching, and stay awesome.